Hello again. Today started out picking up what the quarry calls junk. You can see here there's a pretty wide variety of different types, different sizes of rock. Um, for the most part, it's actually pretty clean. They say there's some wood and some metal in it, so that was something I was being careful about, but for whatever reason, this is all stuff that they don't want to run through their crusher. So they actually sell it a lot cheaper than any of the stuff they run through the crusher, like half the price for the most part. So it's a pretty good deal if it's something that doesn't need to be completely smooth or flat, which, since you can see there's lots of dirt here, that's only just barely turned to dirt, because this is where we had to come out with the tractor when we got stuck. So I'm using the junk to fill in and just get some big stuff down there, because when it comes to being stable on the road, it's basically all about the ability for displacement, because you need to have something that can push enough mud or dirt out of the way that it doesn't move. And little rocks don't do that. They just get pushed down into the mud. So the bigger rocks successfully do that. And the goal here is that I'm going to lay like this off to the left here where I'm working, is actually going to be the you'll come in off the highway, and then there'll be the right turn, which most people will use for most things. If you're coming to visit, you know, if you're coming to pick up a rabbit or whatever, that's where the houses are. And on the far right of the screen is the current driveway. That's a really sharp turn as you come off the highway. And so then off to the left a little bit of that is where I've been building, and it's mostly built up. It still gets a little bit soft, but I don't need to put a load of junk down there, for instance. I'll just be laying a layer of 3-inch minus, and then I'll put some road fabric down after I smooth that out and get it all flat. And then I will come back and see there, you can see where I'm driving. That's a nice little road. And then once we get that smoothed out, then I'll come back with several loads of 1.25 and 5/8 minus to finish it off. But I'll put a layer of ground fabric or geotech fabric down. And we toyed originally, because this does have some larger boulders in it, we toyed originally with the idea that we didn't want to use our little dump trailer for this particular type of project, because those bigger rocks are gonna be pretty hard on the trailer. We ended up deciding that it was worth doing, because the quarry is so close that for the cost of the fuel involved compared to the cost of the delivery fee, it wasn't worth doing. It wasn't worth paying for the dump truck to come, because while the dump truck can drop roughly 4 times more than what the trailer can hold, that 4 times the volume is roughly $100. It's about $90 worth of product, and it basically, it just doesn't justify itself, because we literally throw away 4 of my dump trailers full of product for every dump fee for every delivery fee that we have to provide that we have to pay. Wow, I'm struggling today. Sorry, everybody. um, wow. So, anyway, when I get this next trailer dropped, you'll kind of see, because there's the 2 loads here on the right, and then there's the one that I just dropped. There'll be one more, and you'll get a pretty good idea. That's pretty much what one dump trailer would actually hold. Sorry, what one dump truck would actually deliver in one load. And so, since the dump fee is $100, we realized that was just not going to be a cost-effective thing. So even if it does require a little bit of work, if it bangs up some of the trailer, and even if I had to put down a whole new bottom plate of sheet steel on the trailer, that's only $150 to replace, but when that's all said and done. So it just doesn't make any sense to be paying the dump truck delivery fee. So we'll get this out of the way and then switch over to using the backhoe to actually move things around and smooth things out. And I was trying to pay pretty close attention, because I'm a little paranoid that there is metal in there. If there's some branches or whatever, I don't really care. I did end up finding a few pieces of some wire, so I pulled those out. But for the most part, it was just rock, which, is exactly what I want. So at the moment, I'm just trying to spread things around a bit, kind of get it roughly level, and then I'm going to come back and add some dirt. I still have a little bit of the fill dirt over here on the right from when they dumped that last year. And so I realized that to be able to bring the trucks in that this road will need to bring in, because one of the things that this road is being built for is to be a heavy-duty enough road that semi-trucks will be able to drive on it when they're delivering loads of logs and things like that. So that's one of the reasons why I'm making sure I get a lot of rock down here. I'm going to try and sort of create a little bit of a border with some of the bigger pieces of rock, and I might end up taking those somewhere else as well, but who knows, we'll see. So I'm just smoothing things out and moving things around. This will be something I do pretty much all summer, and technically I guess even I could, since I'm bringing the rock in, once I get it a decent enough curve, I can probably back the trailer in and dump new loads even throughout the winter, just to help build this up the way that we need it. I am going to have to, I was looking at it the other day, and I am going to have to widen that a little bit more on that back side where the trees are. I was trying to decide how I could do that the most effectively, because at the time we hadn't made the decision about the forest that we currently have. We were hoping that we could get enough time with the forest that we could harvest trees and slowly replace them throughout the forest. Plant 50 or 100 oaks one year, and plant a couple hundred red alders the next year, and plant 100 or 50 maples the following year, something kind of something like that. So we slowly build that forest up to where it's going to have a replacement as we start to thin and remove the ash trees. But unfortunately, we were not able to do that. We just don't think we have time anymore. The problem that we run into is the emerald ash borer has now been confirmed in Vancouver, British Columbia, as well as down in Portland a few years ago. So it's now a couple hours south of us and a few hours north of us, and it's literally just, honestly, it could actually be here already, and we just haven't seen it yet. So we've actually decided that the smartest and most effective way to take care of that problem is that we're actually working on the permit process, and we've got a buyer lined up and potentially have a logger lined up. So all of this ash forest we're going to log and sell, so that we can use that to pay for land improvements and a well and hopefully a septic system if we get enough out of it. We'll see how things go. So that said, I now can safely harvest or cut those trees down, knowing that I'm not actually affecting anything. And we'll end up doing the same thing, but the biggest advantage that this is actually going to provide us is that if all the trees are gone, then I don't have to worry about killing the trees, which means I can completely and effectively kill all of this canary grass. So once the trees are gone, we'll rent an excavator big enough that I can just go through and pop all of the stumps out, and once all of the stumps are gone, or loose I guess, then I can come back with the tractor and rearrange them, and I'll use them to start a berm along the highway. We'll just make a big old pile of stumps, and eventually, probably throw some compost on top, throw a bunch of wood chips on top, things like that, and we will get a nice berm going, at least as high as the highway, so that we can plant stuff on there and have a nice solid privacy screen as quickly and effective, a nice thick privacy screen as quickly as we can. And we'll plant a bunch of different stuff. On one side we'll plant some shade tolerant stuff, on the other side we'll plant some sun tolerant stuff. We'll plant some trees into it so that they'll eventually grow out and hold the whole thing together, and we'll see how it actually turns out. But so this is the second road, since the title of the video was working on 3 roads at 3 different stages, and I've already got a bunch of this is the 3-inch minus that's been laid down, and there's probably about 20 tons that I'm 20,000 pounds, 10 tons that I'm spreading around out here, and by the time I get done with this, you can't even really tell that there's that much there. But this is the other thing that I will be continually doing is, so we our goal is basically we plan on every paycheck picking up a few loads of junk and a few loads of 3-inch minus, and just continuing to develop and work on building this all out. And so now I'm going to go up and start working on this portion of the road, or more specifically, start getting access to that house site that we're working towards. And so you can see the road here kind of curves off to the right and downhill, and the house site is over here on the left up there. The first thing I got to do is just start cutting into this hill so I have a way to get up there, and then I'll just continue building this out. Luckily, the area over here is part of the land that was harvested, I guess it'd be 16 years ago now, and most of the trees in this area are young and small. You can see like all of these ash logs there. Those are the ones that I had taken down last year and kind of made a pile there because I thought that was out of the way for what we were working towards. But plans change, and we are now deciding that this is the first house site that we need to develop. So we're going to work. I'm going to keep working my way off to the left here, and having the an actual excavator and a skid steer or a bulldozer would be vastly more beneficial. But hey, sometimes you work with what you got, and with what we were able to get at the time when we bought the tractor, then that's what we've got. So that's what I will continue working with. It still does what it needs to, and it still does what we need it to. It just, is a little slow at it sometimes. I'm super excited to get far enough up here that I can actually back the dump trailer up and be able to start transporting this dirt a dump trailer at a time instead of a tractor bucket at a time. So I'll get it parked up here and then use the backhoe and scoop things around, and then I'll turn the tractor around and use the bucket to load the dump trailer. Then I can drive that and take it wherever I want to on the property, which will be a really big benefit. So these trees, like I mentioned, they're small enough that I can take them down with the backhoe, but they're big enough that some of them are big enough that it's a little nerve-wracking. We'll get some footage of some of that. I've gotten a fair way. I think I've got about 20%, 25% maybe of the actual house site cleared as of today. We have a little bit of a pause put on that at the moment because it's raining, which isn't entirely unexpected, but was a little bit of a surprise. Like, it actually has rained all day here today. It's been quite nice. And so you can see here, like I said, I'll just turn around and start using the front loader, and I'm widening this because I know we're going to be bringing a manufactured home up here, and want to make sure that it's wide enough, smooth enough, and the turns are shallow enough, or I guess that the turns are wide enough. Have a big enough radius that it won't cause issues. So I'm dumping a bunch of this over here on the left, and we'll let that continue to widen itself out, or I will continue to widen it out. But I also, when I built this, I knew I needed to take this and dig it down a little bit. So every time I kind of drive over here, I try and use the bucket to dig into that a little bit. And I kind of feel like I need to get some bucket teeth and see if that would actually help with this type of task. I've got a whole bunch of alder right there that I was just pushing it to avoid burying it. But we're actually pretty kind of sad to see this portion of the forest go. It's one of the places that we actually enjoy the most, coming up here, and it's just this young alder forest just had a particular feel and ambience to it, a peacefulness. So the plan is, and as much of it as possible we're going to leave, but there's going to be a pretty good chunk of it that's going to be removed. So what I'm going to do now is just use the backhoe and grab these logs and move them just off to the right so they're out of the way and won't get buried. But it'll be interesting to see how the land progresses, knowing that that forest is going to disappear. That's actually been a really hard thing for us, but it is what it is with this particular bug. So anyway, that's about where the footage ends for the night, and as you can see, it's starting to actually get dark, so we'll call that good. Thank you as always for watching, and God bless you and yours. Stay safe out there.